Well, good evening. Yes, believe it or not, we're here on a Sunday. Like yesterday sucked. We're not. It just got all fucked up. Anyway, but we are here to talk Superman. Full spoiler review, folks. Full spoiler review, and of course, because I'm that guy, some box office. So prepare, fill your cup, light your smoke. We're about to dip into some Superman talk, which, as we all know, is nerdy. Well, welcome to a special Sunday Superman stream. Welcome to the basement for this spoiler review of the brand new Superman movie. Written and directed by James motherfucking Gunn. And the real, technically not actual, but real kickoff to Warner Brothers and DC Studios' new DC universe. What's up, chat? Spicy Dan, Delta Dan, Brennan. What's going on? Delta Dan's gonna play Rivals? No fucking way. Cup's half full, smoking a bit, right? Well, it's been a long motherfucking weekend, so I have this last little bit of leftover from the holiday. I ain't getting paid by nobody because you don't get paid by nobody with only 273 subscribers. Only got one load of laundry left in the dryer. Talking Superman, it's gonna be a good evening. So how are you guys doing? How was the rest of your week? How was your, well, pretty much weekend? It's Sunday night, so weekend's practically, not 100%, practically fucking over. So what's crapping? You guys have a good weekend? Hopefully everyone has seen Superman by now, or if you're watching on the replay, will have by the time because I say again, and one more time for the record, full spoilers, as many as I can remember. So what's going on, y'all? Oh no, it's the spicy Dan. What? Oh no, what? Last time you had a Smirnoff Ice was when you got ice down your bachelor party. Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted a little something, something, but got to try to keep it light because it is Sunday. Tomorrow's Monday. It's not a holiday, so I got to fucking go to work. So Dub, C Dub. Enjoying some amazing tacos with Spicy Dan's hot sauce right now. Excellent. I need to order some low heat sauce from Spicy Dan at some point. I ain't going ape shit. I am not built like that. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't care. I'm not ashamed. I'm not built like that. I need the not a lot of spice. I like a certain amount of spice, but I need it to be flavorful. Like flavorless heat, I'm not down with. I don't mind a little zip on the old tongue, but when it feels like I really need to go eat a snowbank, no. At that point, I'm 24-ounce maybe with 3 cones. Nice. You have a sweet garlic onion sauce coming? Now that sounds right up my fucking alley. Maybe. Well, you fucking tease. Offer me that deliciousness and then make it a maybe. All right, everyone, be warned. Spicy Dan's an edgelord. Get his Chipotle barbecue. Ooh, that does sound good. Chipotle barbecue. I like that. I've had that before. That's like at the top end of my range, but I like Chipotle, and I like Yes, thank you. I also like gochujang. That shit good. You mess with the gochujang, fucking what is that word? Is it the CH then the J or the J and the CH? Okay, it is. CH then J. Yeah. But yeah, I like me some gochujang barbecue sauce as well. I find that shit pretty tasty. It's got good bite, but it's not like aggressive. Not sure what you want to drink, bourbon or beer? Well, Brennan, let me try and help you with that. How early do you have to get up? Does a couple beers to relax? Or like, I don't know, it depends. How fast do you want to get to sleep? Really? And how early do you got to get up? If you're not trying to get to sleep that fast and you got to get up early, then beer. Just getting home. Honey Chipotle? Yeah. Honey Chipotle, good. Sweet and spicy, just right there for you. Yummy. Eight a.m. That ain't bad. Now, are you just gonna drink that there bourbon on the rocks? Or are you gonna add some like club soda or some form of soft drink to your hard drink? Am I wearing a Superman jersey? Yes, I am. It's Super Weekend. I play nice. Plus, I actually like the fucking movie. So, yeah, kind of in a celebratory Superman-y mode. Funny. Like, I only own 2 Superman things. I own this, which was a gift from my sister, and then I have a black Superman T-shirt, but the logo is black, so you can see the logo, but you can't see the logo. But I like it because it's black, and that's it. I need more Superman shit. Yeah. What's funny though is like, if people weren't paying attention, then they could very easily mistake this for a Detroit Pistons jersey because this is like what they look like, or at least used to. So they'd mistake it for an older one. So they saw the S on my chest. only I deserved it. My Luther face. Yeah. Well, guys, I guess we should start with the basic question. Out of 10, how'd you like the Supermans? Out of 10, how did you like the Superman movie? Let us begin there with the basic question. Come on, guys. One little number. I'll show you mine. Guess what I give it? I gives it an 8. I 7 or 8. You want to see it again? Fair. I feel like 7.9 for C-Dub. Okay. I feel like, and I've heard some people already say this, and I kind of feel like I would agree with them, but I feel like this is going to be one of those movies that gets better on the rewatch, if only for no other reason than the shock of, even though it was much less of a shock than I was expecting, but still, like, you'll already kind of be used to the gunness that's all up in it, and, be like swimming. You got your foot in the cold water with this first one, then, now you're starting to normalize by the time of the second one, and then the water's great by the third watch, so kind of how I'm seeing it right now. Give it an 8, Brooke. Nice. And also with the... Also with the... It seems like we're all on the same page. Kind of, yeah. Seems like we're all right there. Well, let's talk about that motherfucker then. First item. What did you guys think of... Okay, people keep calling it a crawl, but it's not a crawl. But, I guess, written summary, because it wasn't a crawl. A crawl actually moved. This was paragraph, disappear. Paragraph, disappear. Paragraph, disappear. Or sentence, disappear. So that's not a crawl. Preamble. That's the word. What'd you guys think of the preamble? 300 years ago, metahumans. 30 years ago, alien baby crash lands. 3 years ago, Superman reveals himself as Superman. 3 months ago, Superman and Lois start bumping ugly. 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first fight. What do you guys think of that? I feel like it got us to where we needed to be. No muss, no fuss. Like, hey, here's the big points of history you need to know, and then now here we go. You like the preamble, Brooke? Yeah, I mean it. At first, I was like, why are we? Oh, okay. Oh, and I have a little pet theory here. Probably means absolutely nothing, but I just had this thought randomly yesterday after seeing the movie. while I was out dashing for way longer than I thought I was gonna. Um, it was a lot, but you didn't mind the recap instead of another origin story. Yeah, that too. Like that is one thing I do 100% agree with Gunn on. Like we don't need these humongous characters' origin stories anymore. We know how Spider-Man gets his powers. We know why Batman becomes Batman. We know where Superman comes from. You know, maybe a little origin behind Wonder Woman. Her backstory isn't anywhere near as well known as the rest of the people I just mentioned. But yeah, for like the biggins, like the ones that are massive pop culture names, like again Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. You know, we they don't need to do another origin story for any of those for at least 20 more years, like minimum. Going to the windowsill. I don't know how you're going to get your chunky ass up to the windowsill when this desk gets in the room it's going to end up in, though. Oh, the couch. Never mind. Still be a couch there. Oh, yeah, he did specifically say in Age of Gods and Monsters in the, what was that, the first one we talked about when Metal Humans first appeared 300 years ago? Didn't care for it, Cecita. Beginning was the most convoluted part. Didn't hate it, but also didn't feel necessary. I mean, I will agree with you that the beginning was the most convoluted. That thing didn't really hit its stride for a minute, but I don't know. I think it was like just enough to get us kind of prepared for being launched in the middle of a world that's already going. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, do you guys remember? Was it Gun, Corn Sweat, maybe both? Is there any explanation for the three thing? Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Nothing official, but that's actually what I was rambling my way towards before I read your guys' stuff again. See how y'all do me? I'll like participate. Fuck me all up. That's all right. Keep participating. I need the engagement. Anyway, yeah, that was something I was thinking about when I was driving around yesterday. I'm like, he used the number 3 a lot. The only thing I can think of is that's a reference to the DC Trinity. Like, that's going to be the focus. Here comes Superman, and then Batman, Wonder Woman. It's the only thing I can think of is it's a reference to the Trinity. Outside of that, I got nothing. That's all I got. Reference to the Trinity: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. I mean, outside of that, could be something personal to Mr. Gunn. Yeah. So, obviously going from there, we'd seen the next couple minutes via multiple trailers. Uh, you know, Superman hacking and breathing heavy, whistling for Crypto. Crypto showing up, jumping on him 4 or 5 times and fucking him up more, and then finally dragging his ass to the Fortress of Solitude. Enter robots. Enter magnifying glass, healing. And then, of course, Superman being Superman, like, you're only 85%. Well, I got to get back into the fray. And then off he went. And then got his ass handed to him somewhere. But, yeah, I mean, let's be real. Once Superman got back to the city, there was like, in his dialogue really got started, there was definitely some cornball shit happening. What the hey? A couple other examples that escape my mind now. But you could tell James Gunn was going for, like, full on Boy Scout. Not mostly, not a little bit. We're talking what the hey and oh my gosh level of fucking Boy Scout, which is cool. Not absolutely nothing wrong with that. It was just like, damn. I will tell you this though. Beginning was a bit off. Yeah, a little bit. It took a minute to get its stride. It was a little choppy. Of course, y'all remember there might be a reason for that, and this actually might not be Gunn's fault. Remember that article those reports that came out like about a month or so ago, I think now. Um, that said like Warner Brothers made Gunn cut like 20 minutes out, and then they also changed it from like a vignette style movie to like a straight narrative, like most movies are. Movie was a bit cornball, but good. Yep. I have a feeling those two things contributed to most of the choppiness of the beginning. Now, I'm not so upset about the WB cuts because from what the report said, a lot of what they cut was a lot of the bullshit humor that probably would have turned me right off this movie. So, actually, good on you, Warner Brothers, for that one. But changing the actual structure itself, I don't know if that was the best idea. I mean, it did smooth out going into the second act for sure. But yeah, I'll tell you this. Tell you this much though, guys. For the style of Superman James Gunn obviously wants to do, I don't know that he could have cast anyone better. That version of Superman, that's like, I love Reeve. He's always going to be my number one. I love Cavill's Superman, but Cavill's Superman is not Boy Scout Superman. I mean, he's not like, he's still of high morals and all that shit, but he's not like super goofball kind of Boy Scout. That is the Superman. And Corin Sweat was made for this fucking role. He is so damn good as this style of Superman. It's ridiculous how good he is as this style of Superman. Like, he's the embodiment of Silver Age Superman. That's pretty much just all there is. And James Gunn wrote him that way too. Like, when he comes back to the city and fighting the Hammer of Baravia, and rescuing the dog. Oh no, that was from the kaiju. My bad. But rescuing people on an individual basis, rescuing that dog against the kaiju, rescuing a fucking squirrel. Y'all remember that? He literally super speeded and rescued a fucking squirrel. Like, if if that isn't the best example of how Boy Scout Gunn made this dude to be, I don't know what else you need. Motherfucker rescued a squirrel. And I'm not bagging on him for it. That's just like the epitome of what Gunn was going for with his version of Superman, the ultimate Boy Scout, the person who always is very concerned for like the little things and individuals and stuff like that. And when he was fighting the kaiju, he turned around and was like, "Everyone okay? Okay, good. Now go away, run." So yeah, I don't know for the way Gunn designed the Superman. I mean, there might be someone out there that could have done as good a job, if not better. But whoever they are, they're undiscovered. Like that. Where do you guys stand on Corin Sweat as Superman? Like, he's it for this style of Superman. What Gunn was going for, Corin Sweat is the dude. Excuse me. The animated series Silver Age Superman. Corin Sweat nailed that shit. Hey, man, what you doing? So what are you doing? There's no chilling on the desk. I don't care if you use it for trans. Okay, cool. What do you guys think of Corn Sweat? Let's do that part. I think he's basically perfect as this version of Superman. Think DC has a good start with this film? I do agree. Dan says he was great. Lois was great. And Mr. Terrific was dope. Oh, don't worry. We're gonna talk about Lois next. Casting was really good in your opinion. I do agree. I do agree. Yeah, let's move on to Lois, since it looks like we're all in agreement that Corn Sweat is him for this version of Superman. Uh, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. Fucking killed it. You thought Cat Grant was great? I mean, she's great looking. She had like that little conversation with Lois, and then a little running, a little screaming, and engaging in jiggle physics there at the end when they won. But yeah, no, Rachel Brosnahan fucking killed it as Lois Lane, and I got to give Gunn credit for writing like he had to write her as well as he did in order for Rachel Brosnahan to kill it as well as she did. You know, Corn Sweat and Brosnahan were not making up their own lines. Like Gunn wrote this shit. Well, he probably had help, whether he'd admit it or not. But yeah, so yeah, no, Rachel Brosnahan was awesome as Lois Lane. And we'll get to those two together. Great looks, yes. No, yeah, the Cat Grant actress, really attractive. What's But yeah, so I mean, I think she embodied just the right amount of like badassery uh, that Lois Lane in the comics contains. Because let's face it, Lois Lane in the comics, at least uh, once you get past like the ancient ass Superman comics where she's nothing more than a damsel in distress, as soon as they start giving her some personality, uh, she just got more and more badass over the years. Like, take no nonsense. I don't give a shit how dangerous it is. I'm gonna get this motherfucking story, like fucking badass. And I would say Brosnahan, for not getting anywhere near as much of the investigative side of Lois Lane's life at all, hardly. But she still embodied the overall attitude of Lois Lane really well, especially in that. What up, Noah? Especially in that scene in the apartment that the clip triggered some of us, but actually ended up being not that bad in the full context. Speaking of which, let me just right there with this point. We've talked about the clips and the trailers and all that shit, and I haven't been a big old fan of those clips. But let me tell you what, seeing them in context with the rest of the movie, did I say context? Context. Seeing those in context of the full scene and what was going on in the movie, they're a lot better. They're a lot better. They made interesting choices clipping these how they clipped them and putting them out how they put them out, because if they'd used a little more context in those clips, I think a lot more people would have been like ready to appreciate the movie. Just got to your second viewing with a couple siblings? Nice. Number out of 10. If you can, remember how you felt after your first viewing. That's what I'm really curious about is your reaction after the first time seeing it. But yeah, so outside of them not giving her hardly any of like her actual newspaper shit to get into, like how she does her reporting and investigating, they still got the attitude right, the toughness, the badassery, the I don't give a fuck attitude, except when it's important. Yeah. You give it an 8 after the first, you think you gave it a 9? What the crap are you doing over there? Knocking shit around. Come on, get out of there. What are you doing here? No, I don't care if you have the zoomies. Just don't have the zoomies in the entertainment center. Shit. You don't know why you liked it better the first time around? Yeah, that's interesting. Silly ass cats. Yeah, cats are doing shit. I love my cats, but also fuck them things. Yeah. So Brosnahan killed it. Now, that's each of them on their own. As a couple, y'all remember the reports where Gunn, as part of the audition process, was doing chemistry tests? He just like was rotating the actors and actresses through that he had on mind. Well, I'd say we have ample proof at this point that Brosnahan and Corn Sweat passed their chemistry test with flying motherfucking colors. There's not wrong with the movie. I feel like that after the first viewing, I thought it was incredible. I mean, that is possible. Like I personally, I feel like for me, it's going to be better the second time I watch it because like the shock of the gunness of it, even though it's massively reduced from what I was expecting. You know, there's still shit in there that I was like, dude. But I feel like now that I've got the shock of that shit out of my system, I'll like it even more the next time I watch it. But you know, that also makes sense. Like you might notice more flaws on a rewatch as well. Just depends. I just feel like for me, the rewatch, I'm gonna like it more because that's how it was with me for like Eternals. I ended up liking Eternals more on the rewatch. So, but yeah, those two together, like you could feel like the passion and the chemistry and the like you could feel it. Like I'm watching them on screen like I believe that. I believe those two are like that. Like they as a couple they killed it. In their interactions they killed it. Like forget what I mean, they're both awesome on their own, but as a Lois and Clark couple, Superman and Lois couple, my God. Her attitude and his boyishness, interesting mix. Nice little dichotomy. But they end up meshing nicely and just sparks. You could feel that shit. I thought those two like together were amazing. Crazy they only dated for 3 months in universe. They're meant for each other. Yeah, see, a lot of people are like, how can they be that far along? They've only dated 3 months. Just because they've only dated 3 months doesn't mean they haven't known each other for longer. Just means they finally got around to starting to date 3 months ago. Like, how long has what the question is how long has Clark been at the Daily Planet prior to this movie? Because they may have only been dating for 3 months, but who knows how long prior to that he's been working at the Daily Planet and they've been there. I mean, generally there's like, some kind of conversation prior to starting to dating. I mean, most people just aren't like, hey, yo, you're hot. Let's go out. I mean, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but, more than likely they knew each other for a while. And given how opposite they are, Clark/Superman being like super innocent and boyish and Boy Scouty and all that shit, and then her being the aggressive go-getter that she is, they probably annoyed the shit out of each other for a hot minute. I think that's a safe hypothesis, based on their personality type. And then the usual slowly winning each other over thing, and then, And then Clark has to remember not to blow the top of her head off when he comes. Damn. He's got to restrain himself. Interview scene between Lois and Clark was super intense. Yep. And again, it came off much better in the full context of the movie than it did as a clip. Also, Mr. Terrific was terrific. Oh, dude, Edie Gathegi. Eddie, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, he killed it. But before we talk about him, they should make a show based on just those two. I mean, they kind of already did, and from what I understand, that show was badass, and it's now over. Was that one with Superman and Lois? Was that the most recent one they just did? I've heard nothing but good things about that show. But I mean, it would be dope if they did one with this specific couple. I just don't see that happening. Yeah, those two on their own were awesome. Those two together was ridiculously amazing. Like those. Yeah. But of course, those are our leading protagonists. We also had a leading antagonist, y'all. Lex motherfucking Luthor. Played by one Nicholas Hoult. A couple of you have brought it up, but one more time. How did we all like Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor? What did we think of our first glimpse at James Gunn's version of Lex Luthor? What say you, chat? How did you appreciate Mr. Alexander Luthor? Nicholas Hoult's acting is probably your favorite part of the film, Brooke. Okay. That's some high praise. Right. Brooke gives Nicholas Hoult high praise. Better been the Lex Luthor from Batman v Superman. Yeah, that's honestly, while I am a fan of Jesse Eisenberg as an actor, they wrote him a crappy ass version of Lex Luthor. There's a reason he got the big bucks. Hoult. Well, I mean, he's also, outside of Brosnan, the most experienced actor in that cast. Lex was tense, but seemed way OP. Really? Okay. Anybody else? I thought he was good. He embodied narcissistic, authoritarian, petty, just the essence of hater. Obsessive, narcissistic, petty hater. When he said he created a pocket dimension, I was like, oh, he's Reed Richards smart. Well, he, you guess he's supposed to be OP? Kind of, yeah. He's, I wouldn't, I know it's two separate comic universes. I don't know if I'd put him quite at Reed Richards, but I would, he's easily on like the level of Tony Stark or T'Challa or Banner. He's definitely on par with them. I don't know if he's quite Reed. Like, it's Reed, Doom, and Reed's daughter, Valeria, and then there's everyone else. I feel like Lex is would be below that top tier of Reed, Doom, and Valeria. Very maniacal. Yeah, definitely. Like, this motherfucker is such a hater. He stuck his ex-girlfriends in that interdimensional jail. Like, what the fuck? He's a Lex that can make his own mech suit? 100%. And I really hope they do that shit. Because when we first got, like, that pseudo-blurry shot of the Hammer of Baravia, before we knew it was the Hammer of Baravia, people were like, are we getting the Lex suit? But no, it was the Hammer of Baravia that really wasn't even the Hammer of Baravia. It was fucking Ultraman. I gotta say this though, man. Loki felt like he should have had something up his sleeve in the third act. Yeah. Lex is like Stark smart. He could be Batman smart too, but he's too prideful. Oh, he probably is as smart as Batman. At the very end. Well, kind of yes, kind of no. I mean, yeah, I mean, him getting arrested, him losing and getting arrested at the end of this movie, just sets up a breakout. You know, he'll break out. He'll do something geniusy, and he'll have Otis's help, and he'll break out. And that's actually kind of fun too. Update went with bourbon first. Well, that's good. Liquor before beer, never fear. Beer before liquor, never sicker. You heard that phrase? It's an old ass phrase, and I've proven it to be true. Y'all familiar with that phrase? Liquor before beer, never fear. Beer before liquor, never sicker. Oh, you know that one, Noah? Yeah. Yep. If you're gonna mix your booze, you start with the hard liquor. Yeah. If your body's already used to hard liquor, the switch to something lighter like beer, less alcohol content. Cool. Now you drink 5% beer for a minute, then you start hopping on 80 proof booze. Your system's gonna go, what the fuck? And blah. Yep, not cool. You're old, of course you've heard it. I don't know how old you are, Brennan. I know a fair chunk of the people in this chat are young. Bunch of millennials and Gen Zers up in this bitch. Yeah. Which is cool. Keep me up on the lingo. Yeah, I thought Nicholas Holt was really good. Um, what up, Griff? I wouldn't say he was over the top, like he himself. I think you're 49. Okay, so am I till October. Oh shit! Today's July 13th. 3 months, I'll be 50. 3 motherfucking months. All right, guys. All right, guys. I'll be right back. I have to show Mrs. Jones something. Okay. Yeah. So where was I? Oh yes, Lex Luthor. Overall, well, Holt himself killed it. Like there was a couple of little moments where I was like, okay, like there's petty and vindictive, and then there's what the fuck is this? Um, but I would say overall, like a massive majority of the time, that was a great fucking Lex Luthor. Holt killed it. No, I can't. No, it says I kind of wish there was more DC Easter eggs and tie-ins, but it was very jam packed and safe for a start pack. Yeah, I mean, all we really got was, um, what's his fucking name? We got a John Cena cameo. I can't remember his Peacemaker cameo, and then of course we got Kara at the end. And you know we'll get to her when we get there, but but yeah, I think Holt did really good. Um, let's talk about the leaks. If they all came from one source, I would love to I would love to try and figure out who the hell that source was because they were 100% correct. Super shit was a thing. Mutant monkeys botting negative engagement for Superman was a thing. The Kryptonians being Viltrumites was a thing. I gotta say, on paper, I was never a fan of that shit. I'm still not a fan of that shit. Don't get me wrong. Still not a fan of any of that shit. However, as has already come up with a couple other subjects related to this movie, once inside the context of the movie itself, not so bad. Like, Gunn was smart enough not to dwell on it. Well, I mean, the Viltrumite thing he kind of had to dwell on a little bit, you know. But he didn't dwell on any of that over long. Like, they mentioned hashtag super shit, and then we heard it once and never again. We saw the mutant monkeys for like, what, 20, 30 seconds, and then we never saw them again until they were flying around the dimension at the very, very end. The Kryptonians as Viltrumites thing, I mean, it came up, kind of had to, you know, it came up. It became a cause, but then was not really like, I mean, it was referenced, obviously, you know, to keep the Superman's image being shit up for a while, but it still was not like it. Gunn still somehow managed to make it feel like less impactful, and I'm still trying to figure out how. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still think hashtag super shit is ridiculous. I still think the mutant monkeys were ridiculous, and I still think making Kryptonians into Viltrumites is ridiculous. But James Gunn somehow managed to execute all three of those in a way that did not take me out of the movie. And to that, I have to do this. Got to give him his credit for that. He had some seriously ridiculous shit in it, but fought himself well enough to not dwell on it over long. Still not a fan of Evil Jarrell. Neither am I, really. But it was done probably in the most tasteful way possible, for lack of a better phrase. Now, let us move on to, and I still fucking hate this name, the Justice Gang. What'd y'all think of the Justice Gang as a group? We'll deal with them individually, but as a group, what'd you think overall? Did you like them? Did you dislike them? I still hate the fucking name Justice Gang. Like, I hate it. I hate it. But as a group, I enjoyed them. Like, I enjoyed that character group. Justice Gang sucks my balls, and I'm glad Gunn spent most of the movie actually kind of shitting on it. Pa Kent dies next movie? What the fuck? Where'd you even get that from? Justice Gang was kind of entertaining. Yeah. As a group, they were. Justice Gang lame. You didn't like I know the name's lame, but you didn't even like them as a group? As a group of characters? I liked them as a group of characters. I mean, they did a fair chunk of Mr. Terrific, but I think they could have done a little more with Guy Gardner, and they definitely could have done more with Hawkgirl. I kind of feel bad for Isabella Merced. Like, honestly. You didn't like they were absent for a good portion, but they were cool. Yeah, I definitely. Did you notice? Yes, I noticed the Hall of Justice. Now, there's some details in there that other people caught that I missed, but yeah, I noticed the Hall of Justice. I got excited. They found a build. I don't know. It makes me wonder if the animators that drew the Hall of Justice back in the day, like, actually patterned it off of that whatever building that is, and I think that one's in Cleveland. I think that building is in Cleveland. So I'm wondering if, like, the people that drew that for the cartoon way back in the day had seen that building in Cleveland, or the building in Cleveland just happened to be damn near identical to the fucking Hall of Justice. I wonder which is the chicken and which is the egg on that one. But yeah, that fucking looked good. That looked like the Hall of Justice I used to see on the TV every Saturday morning. It was cool. Hawkgirl screaming was so chaotic and perfect at the same time. Yeah, her screaming definitely better than fucking Goats. You didn't like the Hawkgirl scream? I didn't mind it. I was like, first one I was like, oh, okay, she screams now. But, it didn't bother me. It didn't take me out of anything. From what I understand, even though they literally didn't talk about it, or maybe they mentioned it once in passing, that she's actually an alien too. Not Kryptonian, but she is also not of Earth. Which may actually explain that why she has an actual scream. I'll tell you what. While they didn't give her a whole lot to do character-wise, that fucking hallway scene of hers there at the end, ooh, that was a good hallway scene. That was a good hallway scene. Like, I gotta say, while we're talking about that, just in general, the action was pretty fucking good. Like, it looked good. There were a couple of moments here and there, like, you know, you did actually see the clown boot. Does she scream in comics? I think so. Let's verify that, but I think so. Yes. According to the Google, Hawk Girl does scream in comics. In various incarnations of the character, she has been depicted as having a scream as part of her vocal abilities, particularly in combat sequences and emotional moments. So there you go. In a lot of iterations, it's integral to her character. What up, Jay? Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure, but I gave, for whatever reason, even though I don't most of the time, I gave Gunn the benefit of the doubt on that one. Mostly because of the era he's drawing from his primary influence, which would be the Silver Age, and that's when, let's face it, things were as goofy as Gunn likes to be. So, yeah, it does not. I wasn't aware for sure, but it also doesn't surprise me to find out that yeah, she screams in the comic. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, out of the whole Justice Gang, I feel bad for Isabel Merced because she had a couple of cool battle scenes and a few lines here and there, but like other than that, like she was you know she was there, but she was kind of backgrounded a little bit. They could have done a lot more with her. I'll just put it that way. I'm wondering how much of like the stuff we're going to talk about that we missed were in those cut 20 minutes that were evidently too full of Gunn humor. Like, if Gunn had managed to restrain himself even more, how much more would we have gotten that we are now right saying that we missed or should have been in the movie? Interesting thought. I have no idea, obviously. But I find that to be an interesting thought. Anyway. But, yeah, so poor Isabella Merced. Dope hallway scene, a couple other cool scenes, a couple fun lines, but that's it. All girls underused 100%. Let's move on to Guy Gardner. What do we all think of Guy Gardner? I think they did Guy Gardner right. From what little I know about him, because I have not read a lot of, well, I haven't read a lot of Lantern stories in general, much less ones that involve Guy Gardner specifically. But from what I'm given to understand from doing research on the YouTube channel called Comics Explained, y'all heard of that one? It's a pretty good channel. Anywho, from what I've been given to understand from listening / watching, mostly listening, because I do most of my Comics Explained intake when I'm dashing. From what I'm given to understand from those videos, this is pretty much Guy Gardner. Under scene, especially without the mask, yeah. But at least we got to see her in a towel. You know, if we can go goon for a second. Y'all see her dress at the premiere? Isabella Merced's quite. I seem to be done proper. Yeah, I would say so. I was honestly expecting him to be more over the top dickish especially with that type of character and especially being written by Gunn. But again, a great example of how Gunn did restrain himself a pretty good amount. Guy Gardner could easily have been way out of pocket. And it still would have made sense comic wise, but it probably would have been very off putting movie wise. But yeah, I think he did him pretty damn well. The cockiness was there, the attitude was there, the sarcasm was there. But it wasn't by some miracle overdone. I'm pretty happy about it. But of course, the scene stealer. Fucking Mr. Terrific. I don't know about y'all. Mr. Terrific was fucking amazing. Edie Gathegi killed it in this movie, bro. Mr. Terrific. Every scene he was in, I was like, this dude. He's him. Mr. Terrific is him. That dude's great. And even a couple of other things that I didn't like clip-wise that involved him in the context of the movie. Much better. Like, if they'd included both sentences, like, you all remember how we saw, like, there was that one clip where he's like, I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. And I was like, James Gunn, you motherfucker. But in the movie, paired with, with the full context of the scene, where he's like, I don't need help. I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. But much better. Like, those clips are so poorly edited. My God. Bro was like Yondu with his bots during that one scene. Oh, when he and Lois go to that camp, dude. Primo action scene there. Like, peak action scene. That might be the best action scene of the movie, honestly. That just might be the best action scene in that entire movie. Yup. I think Mr. Terrific is dope. Y'all hear how Gunn said he was considering doing individual shows for Mr. Terrific and Jimmy Olsen? And we'll talk about him next. Almost kind of forgot about it. But yeah, Mr. Terrific was dope. Like, how Edie portrayed him was dope. What they had him doing in the movie was dope. He was Mr. Terrific was great. I love him. I loved him. He was awesome. Yeah, Mr. Terrific was dope. I liked his tech. I liked his genius. I liked his attitude. You can tell he and Guy don't get along. He's like, I'm going to help you just to piss Guy off, or whatever it was he said. That shit was awesome. And yes, of course, there's Jimmy motherfucking Olsen. I thought he was high. Like, they didn't do too much with him. I mean, they brought him in and made him key via him being the Riz Master with Eve Tessmacher. Like, he got good info because of that, but like, they didn't really do too much with him. We did not really do a whole shit ton with him, which, I'm fine with. I did not know this until, like, I heard other people talk about it, because, like, when I first heard that Jimmy Olsen was, like, a Riz Master in this movie, I was like, Jimmy fucking Olsen? Because the only Jimmy Olsen I'm really used to is, like, cartoon Jimmy Olsen and Christopher Reeve Jimmy Olsen, and none of those were Riz Masters by any stretch of the imagination. They were Gomers. Not the same kind of Gomer as, like, Superman as Clark Kent, but Jimmy Olsen is, at least when I was growing up, was typically portrayed as a Gomer. So, like, Pimp Jimmy Olsen, not a concept I'm used to, but again, from what I'm given to understand, he's been written like that fairly often in like the more recent years and decades. So what do you know, Jimmy Olsen? Jimmy Olsen's a ladies man, and I'm glad it. I'm glad James Gunn actually gave it some use. Yeah, I mean, he was cool. He was definitely a background character. I mean, obviously he had some lines and some interactions, but you know, again, outside of the Eve Tessmacher angle and her being very careless with her backgrounds, he didn't really have a whole lot to do. But that's not something I'm mad at. Like, I don't know about a show with him making too much sense to me. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But a Mr. Terrific show, that makes sense. Terrific's dope. And while we're at it, what'd y'all think of Eve Tessmacher? It's a different iteration of Eve Tessmacher than I'm used to. But on the other hand, she kind of made sense. I mean, her is the version from the Donner film was definitely also ditzy. Like that matches up. Actually, now that I think about it, the comparative age range between her and Gene Hackman and the Donner one and this one and Holt and this one actually lines up. Now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, I had zero problem with her being written like in these modern times as a wannabe ditzy ass influencer. Makes total sense. I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, she didn't wow me, but teaming her up with Jimmy for that one moment that helps to bring Lex down was cool. It was cool. I'll tell you who was really underutilized in this. Well, in general, the Daily Planet was underutilized in this movie. Just like period. You know, like I don't know if y'all probably noticed this, but there was barely any Clark Kent. Most of we saw Corn Sweat in that ugly ass uniform most of the time. And yes, I don't care. Even on the big screen, I still hate that suit. Millie's looked better. So let's get that out of the way. I still don't like that super suit. Fully cleaned up in the final cut in the big ass theater screen did not help. I still don't like that fucking suit. I'm getting used to it, but I don't fucking like it. After seeing this movie, think Robert Pattinson could work? Yeah, I think. I mean, obviously he can't be emo anymore. Like he has to get past that. But like, super, Superman being, you know, really, really hopeful and like, being the type of superhero that rescues fucking squirrels. That matched up with the super dark Gotham and Pattinson. I think that would be a fucking awesome dichotomy. And it's one we frequently see, like in the comics and shit too. No Pattinson? I mean, even if it's not Pattinson, like Batman needs to be pretty fucking dark. For me, maybe this is just me, but I I think they need that dichotomy. Like they need like some of the best Superman and Batman like dynamic is when Superman and his Boy Scoutiness and his like sometimes super holier than thou attitude versus Batman and his darkness and his pragmatism. It's fucking amazing. Like on the page in the animated movies, like that's what we need. Even if it's not Pattinson himself, that's what we need, in my opinion. You need that dichotomy for character building and character interaction. And also with such opposites mixing, when they finally do align and work together, like, work together, bro. You get light and dark working in harmony. Oh shit, it's fucking on now. Talking shit on Justin's PC. This is the first time we've brought up Justin's PC, and you fucking did it, C-Dub. So we talking shit on Soups? I'm not really. No, I'm not talking shit on it at all. I really like that fucking movie. I mean, it ain't perfect. It ain't perfect. It's got a few issues here and there, but yeah, no, I like it. But yeah, me personally, I need that dichotomy. I think I think that's what would work best because it works in other iterations, i.e., comics, animated movies, that kind of thing. And now I'm giving you shit too, C-Dub. Damn, Brit. I'm just fucking with you, Ted. Name that movie that I just quoted. A, did you even know that was a movie quote? B, if you did, what movie is it? Do you think potentially James has a plan to bring him in? Oh, I'm sure he's had one for a hot minute. It's all about what's his fucking name? What Matt Reeves wants to do. Like Matt Reeves and his Bativerse does not work for James Gunn. He works directly for DeLuca and Abdi under the main Warner Brothers studio, not under DC Studios. So taking all my Justified client away was way too. He didn't take all of it. He left you $50K. But what the fuck was I talking about in regards to the movie? Yeah, we needed more Daily Planet action in general. Like I definitely wanted more Perry White. I don't know about y'all, but I'm a fan of Perry White, just in general, the character, and I wanted more Perry White for sure. The Matt Reeves versus Gunn Batman situation is comical to me. I mean, yeah, there's that aspect to it. For me, it's just like fucking just someone over there realized Batman is a mistake, and Reeves needs to just suck it up and let James have Pattinson. Call it a day. Perry the Platypus. Yeah. Is that the cartoon one? That's like the detective. I can't remember what cartoon. He doesn't have his own show. He was like a side character that like got his own blurb, kind of like Chili Willy and Woody Woodpecker. I don't know if any of you know that shit. Brennan might. Know what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if y'all know about Woody Woodpecker and Chili Willy, but if you were watching the Woody Woodpecker show, you'd get a Woody Woodpecker cartoon, then you get a Chili Willy cartoon, then you get a Phineas and Ferb. Damn it. Okay. And then you'd get another Woody Woodpecker episode. James doesn't want Battinson, except he does. Reeves is the only one stopping this. Zaslav wants Battinson. James wants Battinson. Safran wants Battinson. Reeves just don't want to fucking share. And if Superman doesn't like blow up in the box office, he will have no reason to share. Like, why am I going to give you my character when my character does better than yours? Like, the only way Battinson gets into the DCU is if Zaslav calls Matt Reeves into his office and is like, Matt, you're an awesome dude. You make awesome shit. But I can't have two Batmen running around, so Robert is now James's. Much love, though. Chili Willy and Woody Woodpecker Classics. Yeah, see, I knew you'd know, Brennan. I knew you'd know. I don't know about all these fucking kids in here, but I knew you'd know. You know I love y'all. Yeah, Reeves is the only one keeping that shit from happening. And Zaslav is allowing him to keep that shit from happening. For now. For now. We'll see how that plays out. What do y'all think of Metamorpho and Baby Joey? Or were they even calling him Metamorpho in the movie? I feel like they were calling him something else. I know we've been calling him Metamorpho forever. Dopey the dog, right? He's still under DC and Warner Brothers. Oh, he's under Warner Brothers. He's not under James Gunn's DC studio. I know Gunn wants Pattinson. I said that already. But yeah, Reeves does not. Oh no, he wants Pattinson though. That's the thing. And Reeves definitely 100% contractually does not work for Gunn and DC Studios. He signed with Abdi and DeLuca before Gunn even came in. He works directly for Warner Brothers. Anything he does for Gunn, script-wise or anything else, is purely out of courtesy. Gun 100% wants Batman. What else about the movie? Oh yeah, we all like those of us in this bubble basically knew it was coming. But what'd you think about the reveal of Ultraman as a clone? Even though they basically confirmed that when they were able to just walk into the Fortress of Solitude. Where did Gunn say he wants Pattinson as his Batman? The same place he said he doesn't. Except that would be in Scooper and Insider Land, except Scooper and Insider Land says he does. Gunn's never publicly said either way. He's played coy about it. He said he's thought about it, but he's never said yay or nay. But all the insiders agree it's yay. It was pretty obvious it was going to be a clone. Yeah. Now, who was it I heard? Roka, when I was watching on his review. He posited that said clone falling into the black hole could end up, as opposed to, in real world physics, instead of being crushed into an infinite amount of energy in a very small space, he would get shot to a different universe and end up as Bizarro. I think that's an interesting thought. Like, Ultraman could come back as, like, Bizarro. Clone felt like Black Mar. I mean, yeah, the outfit was definitely like Black Mar. That's for damn sure. Yeah. What do you guys think about Ultraman, like, basically being video game? So, like, having all his moves dictated to him. I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, Lex Luthor is a hell of a gamer. Because his control of Ultraman, he was whooping some ass. But I mean, we all knew he was basically a clone. Let's speculate. You don't understand how there is a literal black hole on Earth. The Rift stuff was weird. Well, it's let me see if I can figure out a way to explain this using actual real world physics and then adjusting it for comics. So all those portals, and they kind of explain this in the movie, call-ins. Interesting idea. I'm pulling up the Discord. Yeah, black hole though. So when Lex was opening those portals, which you can't do in actual physics, he was basically fucking up space-time. And black holes are basically gravity wells so powerful they distort space-time. Nah, never mind. All right, fine. It's close. That's what they do. Black holes, especially at their core, distort space-time. That's why you basically fall into them for an infinite amount of time, gradually getting more and more crushed as you go until you end up just a little ball of energy. But that's real-world physics. Now, twisting that to apply to comic physics, all those rifts and the damage they did to space-time opened up that, what they call it, an anti-proton river, and then continued fucking around with it, damaged space-time enough to where something somewhere collapsed, and it created a singularity. So basically, like taking a real world physics thing and then comic booking the absolute fuck out of it is what that was. But yeah, I know. Isn't that kind of a cool theory that Roca came up with, Noah? He could make his return as Bizarro. I mean, Roca pointed this out too. He's already halfway there. Like, he has to be controlled to function. Oh, yeah. Speaking of the reason he lost his ability control, what'd y'all think of Crypto? What'd we all think of the Crypto puppy? I'll say this. Initially, like right from jump, they CGI'd that dog pretty damn well. Y'all remember last Wednesday when I said I have a feeling I'm gonna end up, despite myself liking Crypto? I was right. God damn it. I ended up liking that fucking dog. My siblings were like, Crypto's just like our dog. Oh, right. I will say this though. I appreciated them taking out the beating of Crypto and just making it like a nanite mask. Even though I didn't like that much either. But I'm definitely glad they changed that shit. Like, Animals in Pain just fucks me up. Like, so, like, the nanite shit for me, like, I'm overly sensitive when it comes to animals. So, like, even the nanite shit for me, I was like, ugh. Like, Guardians 3 was fucking with me, bro. So, like, I wasn't even the biggest fan of the nanites, but that's a hell of a lot better than, like, fucking Ultraman clubbing the dog down or whatever. So, I'm super glad they changed that. And the way they kept him occupied, constantly chasing super squirrels, that's actually kind of funny. That's actually kind of funny. That, that might be an idea that Superman might want to adapt the next time he has to dog sit. You thought Crypto may be too much. I mean, he was right there. Disappearing him in the middle was probably a good idea. Having him captured and shit was probably a good idea. That kept him from being like way too much. Like, for me, they kept Crypto like on the right side of that line of, okay, he's cute, to fucking dog. I'm so tired of this fucking dog. They kept it on the cute side, at least for me. And I have to say this too. Like, he was a lot, but in a good way. Exactly. What'd y'all think of like Superman being Super Boy Scout with Luthor at the end, and then Crypto just come flying in and fucking Luthor up? Like, what? I heard someone bring this up. Might have even been Roca again, but like, or maybe just enough, yeah. But like, it, to me, it makes sense that Superman would be all like, all right, this dude's way weaker than me. He's pretty much beat. And then in comes Crypto like, fuck this dude, and just beats the shit out of him in a way that was, and again, I think it was Roca brought this up, or maybe it was Mike Vogel. It was on the Geek Party. I was watching their review when this came up, and credit where it's due. And one of them brought up that the way Crypto was throwing Luther around was kind of similar to how the Hulk treated Loki in Avengers. Bam, 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 bam. Is a T.O. Is a bad F on Superman mid? Just my take, bro. No. Trust me, as someone for whom gun sensibilities are very hit and miss, I understand. Like, there's not a lot of people that are like, guns just die. They're either glazers or haters when it comes to gun. Not a lot in the middle. So yeah, if people like found even this restrained version of gun too much, totally understandable. I'm not going to bag on you for finding it. I'm actually surprised I didn't. That's like kind of where I'm coming from. Like I was prepared to force my way through way too much James Gunn in a Superman movie, and then it turns out that it wasn't. At least for me, which is again shocking, very shocking. No, I noticed that as well. Second time watching it, it's funny seeing him get slapped around. Yes, and richly deserved, I might add. He deserved that ass whooping. But again, the way Luther got his ass whooped makes total sense. Because this super duper Boy Scouty version of Superman isn't just going to whoop the shit out of Luther, just on general principle. Because like, he just doesn't roll like that. He only whoops the shit out of things that he has to whoop the shit out of. He'd prefer not to whoop the shit. So it makes sense that he didn't. And considering Crypto, it makes total sense that he did. And I was all for it. Tio, yep, I think the movie is okay. I'm open to seeing how he adapts other rumored characters such as Booster Gold, Authority, Teen Titans, and Batman. Yeah. Well, Batman's not rumored. Wonder Woman is not rumored. He had initially talked about the Authority, but that idea seems to be on the shelf. Same for Booster Gold. And as far as I know, Teen Titans is just as conceptual as the other two. Like we need a Bruce and a Dick before we can go Teen Titans. Pause. But yeah. Yeah, as long as James, I think, how do I want to put this? Actually, let me come back to that in a second. Something else. Do y'all remember the quote from Corn Sweat where like he felt like Superman was very like Star Wars? I get that. You guys get that after seeing Superman? Do you get that? We barely got any Rick Flag. I was kind of sad. Yeah. But I totally get what Corn Sweat was talking about after watching that movie. Like, there's no preamble. I mean, it's basically like A New Hope. You get your opening text, and then, boom, shit's going. They set up so much more in Creature Commandos. Yeah. Well, more specifically, yes. But like, that makes total sense. That analogy, though. Star Wars at the beginning of A New Hope, you had no idea what was going on. Just opening crawl and then space battle. Like there's no background on anything that was going on outside of the crawl. And this is literally the same thing, except it wasn't a crawl. It was appearing and disappearing text. Crawls, mobile. Yeah, very Star Wars like in that respect. Like, okay, here's the basic information of what you need to know for right now, and here's right now. Enjoy. By the way, just in general, I gotta respect how much of a Star Wars nerd Corn Sweat is. Y'all see that other quote from him? It's like someone asked him, "What would you rather do? Make a second Superman movie or be a Jedi in Star Wars?" And he was like, "Jedi." Just straight up dead ass. I want to be a Jedi. He wants to be a Jedi more than he wants to make Superman 2. That's fucking hilarious, bro. And also, as long as KK isn't involved, I'm fucking here for that. A dude that can play Boy Scout Superman could be an awesome purist type Jedi, don't you think? You know, like super pure, less dickish than like say Mace or who's the Saurian dude with the big ass head? What's his fucking name again? I can remember the weird ass name of his race, but I can't remember his character name. Y'all know who I'm talking about? The one that always sits on Yoda's right. The fuck is his name? Yeah, I don't think he'd be a dick on their level. I feel like he'd be like Obi-Wan nice, but like still more of a stickler for the dogma. You know what I mean? I think that's the kind of Jedi he would be, or he should be written as, given given how well he played this version of Superman. I think it'd be dope. But yeah, like very lived in world. Not and very very lived in, and the way the movie ended, while it didn't set up anything specifically, as you brought up, Noah, um, that's actually I mean, outside of Supergirl and Peacemaker, but we already knew we're getting both of those anyway. Um, and we kind of knew that was going to be that way because James Gunn has repeatedly been quoted about how he hates Marvel's post credit scenes and shit. So, I mean, yes, we got two post credit scenes, but they had literally nothing to do with anything in the future. What I mean, the first one was adorable. Crypto hugging Superman was fucking cute. Okay, and then that little interaction with him and Mister Terrific was actually funny. And again, it was just another reiteration of how like super homey and like home, not home, just down to earth and basic. He kind of is at the core. Or like the Flash CW universe with metahumans running around being the norm. Exactly. Well, that was part of the crawl. Metahumans been on the earth for like 300 years. Less like Man of Steel. Yeah, that was they were just coming across the metahumans at that point. Definitely a lot big time different timing. But while he didn't set anything specific up, he also simultaneously left it wide open. And obviously there's going to have to be some kind of continuity, but he left the people that are going to do the movies going forward, obviously that would include himself, a lot of room to play with. Like they're not going to be tied down to anything outside of what we know to be DC lore. But like he's got this is Superman's the only real toy out of the box other than the Justice Gang. Like this is just the first few toys out of the box. We got a big ass playground. So I'm not mad that they didn't really set anything specific up, other than what we already know. We know we're getting Peacemaker season 2, and we know we're getting Supergirl in 10 months. By the way, I believe it comes out in May. Either March or May, but I feel like it's May. Really? Not till next June? Into June? Okay, I guess it's still part of. Going to be almost a whole year. I thought that came out in May or March. June 26th. Okay. So we got like 2 weeks under a year. We got 11 and a half months, I guess. My bad. My bad. But yeah, timing's different from the Snyderverse. But I don't care. I kind of actually like that it's got that lived in feel like Star Wars does. I mean, we talked about this way back at the beginning, but like a lot of these characters, like not just we know their origin stories, but fucking everyone in pop culture knows these origin stories. Like they know Superman. They know Spider-Man got bit. They know Superman came from another planet. And they know Batman became Batman because his parents got killed in a dark alley. Like this is all known. So I'm totally fine with not getting Superman's origin and probably not Batman's either. Now, they might want to do some backstory for Wonder Woman because her origin is not part of pop culture. I mean, people know she's around because she's part of the Justice League. They know she's strong and shit. Most people don't know that her power level is damn near Superman's. And her power set. Like, strength-wise, speed-wise, she's kind of close. She doesn't have the heat vision or the x-ray vision or, the super breath or any of those kind of weapons. But when it comes to speed and power, she's pretty up there. I mean, people know she's powerful, but I don't think people probably heard of the lasso as well. But, like, in general, she's not anywhere. For the general public, she is nowhere near as well known in detail a character as, Superman, Batman. Strictly talking DC. People know more about the Flash than they do Wonder Woman. Origin. I think more people know that the Flash became the Flash because of lightning and chemicals. And they know that Wonder Woman is a demigoddess from Themyscira, which is essentially a Greek island because they worship the Greek pantheon. And let's just face it, Themyscira is a very Greek-y. That shit isn't as well known even as I think the Flash origin. Travis! Going pretty all right. I'm very intrigued by what I'm hearing about this movie. It sounds like James Gunn caught a hurricane in with this one. He, in my opinion, outdid himself in a lot of ways with this one. For me, most notably in taking his usual sensibilities and dialing them actually way the fuck down. Way down. But what'd you guys think of Ma and Pa Kent? Hurricane in a bottle. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What'd y'all think of Ma and Pa Kent? Meh. Anybody else have thoughts on Ma and Pa Kent? I gotta tell you this much. That is the most country I've ever seen those two portrayed. Oh my God. Chew Bumpkin, yeah. You like the casting? I mean, they were country as fuck. Like, they were country as fuck. But you can tell, you can all, at the same time, you can tell that, their simple country morals is why this version of Superman is the way he is, you know. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of them being that country, but you know, whatever. Travis, structurally and in terms of world building and amount of characters, which comic book film could you compare this to, if any? Not comic book, but in terms of scope amount of characters on without seeing the film, I imagine something like Independence Day. Well, in terms of comic book movies, I mean, this amount of world building was required, but so far as telling a story with an ensemble, I would probably put this not on the level of, but I would say it's analogous to Avengers. Definitely not on the level of Avengers. Avengers way better for me. But in terms of handling like a big old pile of characters with a lot of shit going on, it's analogous to the Avengers. Man, something like Independence Day. Yeah. Yeah, in insofar as those aspects go, yeah, I'd say that's a reasonable comparison. Again, I would say analogous to more than even like similar. But yeah, Mom and Pop Kent were just I literally think Gunn put them there to explain why Superman thinks the way he does. Like real talk. Like it gave him a safe haven after getting his ass like severely beat, and they were there to like show us why Clark is the way he is. Beyond that, James didn't really do a lot with him, and I'm actually kind of okay with that. I mean, the only reason he would have to do more with them is if he included the origin. Like you'd need a lot more of them with the origin, but without the origin being part of the movie, for me, he used them about as much as they really even needed to be used. You know? Like Independence Day, that you have your main characters who come free packaged with like 4 or 5 other main characters who join on the action, even though they don't know what they're doing. Kinda, yeah. It's analogous, Travis. It's analogous like that. Yeah. Are there any hints or indicators of the transition from the DCEU to this new universe besides Peacemaker? No, quite the opposite, actually. You know how one of the main points of BVS was like all the collateral damage done by when Superman and Zod were fighting? Um, well, outside of all the scenes of Superman like making sure like individuals that he rescues are all right, or groups, or a fucking squirrel. Outside of that, like it was literally said out loud, like even when they were talking about the damage Superman and his fighting caused, literally every time they're like, no casualties, no casualties, no casualties. So not only were there any hints of any transition from it other than Peacemaker, James was making it painfully obvious that how opposite he wanted his Superman to be to Cavill. Like almost to the point of beating a dead horse. They brought up the no casualties so much. Squirrel. So there's that. What'd you guys think of Supergirl? What did you guys think of Supergirl? How do you feel? How do you feel about that little bit that we got with her? I liked it. Not enough to judge. Well, trust me, a lot of people are already judging. I've seen a lot of complaints about why was Supergirl drunk? Why did she call Superman bitch on the way out? Well, while I must freely admit that I actually haven't read the book, but Tom King wrote a book called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. As you recall, before it was Supergirl, just like Superman used to be Superman Legacy and got cut back to just Superman, Supergirl used to be Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and then it just got cut back to Supergirl. But in Tom King's book, that was Supergirl. She would literally go to planets with red suns just so she could get hammered. And I believe Tom King is a co-writer on the Supergirl movie. So while a lot of people were like, "What the fuck was she doing drunk and calling Superman bitch?" Well, again, I haven't actually read the book, but from everyone I know of, I follow on the TwitX and watch on the YouTube, that is quite familiar with that story. Uh, that was dead ass. Angry at the world, drunk, partying, disrespectful. Supergirl is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Fascinating that a percentage of casual audience remember the Suicide Squad to Suicide Squad 2. We're going to see Peacemaker and Earthlight's dad, but a different universe and be confused. Eh. You heard of Red Kryptonite from Smallville, but never a Red Sun? Oh, yeah. Well, Krypton had a red sun. That's why they weren't like, that's why they're not super powerful until they get to Earth with a yellow sun. Like Kryptonians on Krypton are like us. You know, their strength is normal relative to their planet. I think I've I think supposedly part of the reason is I guess the gravity on Krypton is like stronger than ours. I guess that was at one point part of the explanation for why Superman can fly. Whatever. Um, yeah. Red sun, no powers. Normal like us. Yellow sun, Superman. Y'all remember in the Flash that scene when they got Kara Zor-El like out from that underground bunker, and then like she was all like ridiculously skinny and anorexic and shit. Then she got into the sun and like became normal sized and got all powerful and fucked all them dudes up. Yeah. By the way, that was actually, and that was from Flashpoint. But I think in Flashpoint it was actually Superman. Yeah, it was. In Flashpoint it was actually Superman. They changed it to Supergirl for the Flash, which was basically. That movie was so dumb. But yeah, I think we've covered everything about the movie. Talked about all the characters. Talked about the action. Agree that Gunn kept his shit to a minimum. Therefore, even as cornball as some of it was, it's okay because the rest of it was dope. Yeah, yeah, pretty good movie, y'all. Solid 8 for me. With a little less eye roll and shit, it could have been a 9. What was the major thing you did not see coming at all and were surprised by? The level of Gunn's restraint. That's the biggest thing that shocked me. Like honestly, I'm too much. I'm too much into following like scoopers and leakers and insiders to where like nothing like that happened in the movie was a big surprise. Really, between the leaks and the trailers and the clips and shit, like none of that surprised me. The biggest surprise for me was the amount of restraint James Gunn showed, for which I'm profoundly grateful because his normal levels of gunness I have zero business being in a super. Yeah. I already finished my beverage, Delta Dan. I can do the Diet Coke though. Yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me. Now, because I'm that guy, and because I've made predictions, we're gonna talk about some box office, motherfuckers. Okay, so we've got some predictions for the weekend. Superman not doing well in China, y'all. How many Guardians of the Galaxy did you spot in the movie? Uh, well, there was definitely no Quill, no Gamora. I mean, technically Rocket was there because of Bradley Cooper. No Bautista. No Vin Diesel. Mantis was a robot voice, even though Gunn flat out said she wasn't. She was at one point. Then he come out and said she was. So I know Mantis was a robot voice. Bradley Cooper voiced Rocket. Um, yeah, that's it. So Rocket and Mantis were in there. 135 for what? Domestic? This guy is probably the most accurate dude I've seen. He gives all these comparisons and then finally gets to the part we care about. 130 to 140 opening weekend. Not bad at all. which Delta Dan's 135 is smack in the middle of. Now, according to Geek Vibes, 230 to 250 global. Okay. We need some Karen Gillan. I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Not her either. Also, no Rooker, unless he voiced a robot and I didn't know it. Or one of Luther's people. One of these guys that are getting fucked up. Yeah. I still hate that fucking suit. But yeah, so this is Geek Vibes Nation. I have no idea where they get their numbers from. Maybe it's their own internal figures, counting math people. Again, this guy. Okay, so according to him, it's 217 glad, right? A bit of a Well, I'll tell you what that tells you though is if it did 130 to 140, and its global is only 217, international is fucking weak, bro. Normally, movies make more international than they do here. Generally. Obviously, not all the time, but generally, you can count on international to at least double the, at least match domestic. But even at the low end of what he said for domestic, which is 130, that means this only made 87 million internationally, yo. Like, this should be at 260 with normal international performance, and it 217. Guys, we're looking at so 217 in your average, like a decent box office drop off is like 50%, like decent. So take your 217, you chop that in half, you're looking at what, 109 basically, 108.50. So let's call it 110. Okay, we'll round up to 220 and call it 110. So and 50% is a decent drop off. That's like towards the higher end than the lower end of drop off on average, right? So at that point, we're talking like 320 million after 2 weeks. And then in comes weekend 3, which normally has a bigger drop off than week 1 to week 2 in general, on average. On weekend 3, Fantastic Four premiere. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are looking at about at best, $600 to $650 million Superman movie. What it looks like right now. It could still, like, if Fantastic Four does not do well, Superman could leg out to maybe 700 million. But this movie is 100% not making $1 billion. There's like no fucking way. It would have needed like another 100 million this weekend, and then like an insanely small drop off next weekend, and then still legging out even with Fantastic Four in its face. Like, it would take a literal perfect storm, statistical perfect storm for Superman to make $1 billion. Like, even if it gets decent legs past Fantastic Four, I still think its ceiling is like 80. What was that? Jurassic World, according to this dude, is only going to get like 8 to 850 to 9, I think. Oh, Superman loses IMAX to the Fantastic Four, guys. That's going to hurt. You make some change at IMAX with your IMAX movie. That is not good for Superman. Oh, shit. Yeah, there's still this Luis Fernando guy who's like really fucking good. Jurassic World, even after that monster opening weekend, it hit a 61%. It's hit after 2 weeks 529.5 million. But that's after an almost $400 million opening. The total is now 529 for 750 million to 800 million dollars. Now, when that bitch popped off last weekend, you remember all the people that are like, "This movie's gonna hit $1 billion. Look at this opening weekend." Y'all remember that shit? And what did Chillin say? What did Chillin say about that? Chillin was forced to remind people that A, the second weekend always tells a story, and B, Superman's going to come in on Jurassic World second weekend, and Crypto's going to take a big old dump all over it. Oh, somehow I made it bigger. Cool. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to do? What did Chillin say? Chillin said that. What you just read from the professional box office, homie. Chillin said that. Chillin said none of these movies are making $1 billion. Jurassic World, check. Don't have the final tally yet, and like I said, certain things could happen, but let's just say the odds are in my favor. Check. Like massively in my favor. Honestly, these numbers are closer to like a $550 million movie. Like, I'm actually giving a credit saying 6 to 650. Like, that's being generous. But that'll satisfy Warner Brothers because evidently they'll be happy with 5. So if this thing gets, 550, or it even gets to my generous 6 or 650, that'll be at least, while mathematically not a box office success because that'll lose it money. Warner Brothers will be like 600 million, more than good enough to keep going with this shit. And that might also be part of the reason Gunn's been promoting that, like has said repeatedly, that it doesn't need to make 700 million. We'll be fine. Well, evidently he's allowed to say that because that's what the Warner Brothers brass is going with. Going with 500 good enough to keep this that shit rolling. Yup. But yeah, it's while it's good that ooh, what is I almost forgot. I was very curious about this. I wanted to see the Rotten Tomatoes audience score after this bitch has been out for a weekend. I was gonna wait till tomorrow, but it's 10:30 Eastern time on 10:30 p.m. on Sunday Eastern time. What's the audience score at after opening weekend? Because remember, it was at 96%, but that was after those previews, and that was it. Like the what do you call it? Amazon Prime previews. That was the score after those. Not the best sample size. I mean, it was at 96, so credit where it's due, but that's not an appropriate sample. After practically the first full weekend of the movie, I think that's an appropriate sample size. I haven't looked at it since Friday. So. Oh, holding pretty strong, y'all. Critic score hasn't moved. I didn't really expect it to after the first weekend. It generally never does. Or after the previews, it generally never does. And after a full weekend, it's still at 93. It's only a 3% drop from just the previews. Audience be digging this. Those that are watching it. Now, word of mouth might help keep the drop off from being like precipitous next weekend. Could happen. But that's how this movie could get to like 650, maybe even 7. Like good word of mouth will allow it to hit those. But I'm not going to say $1 billion is oops, the fuck. You don't need to see me twice. There we go. Sorry about that. You know, while it could have stronger legs than I'm anticipating, like $1 billion is not completely 100% impossible. I can't state that as a fact. I cannot say 100% factually, objectively, unconditionally, this movie absolutely cannot hit $1 billion. I can't say that. What I will say, and I think I can safely say, is that the odds are low. They're low. But again, this is just first weekend. We will definitely come back to this in a week. At which point, I will be able to see how accurate I am and make any necessary refinement to my predictions, because that's what smart people do when they get new information. They reevaluate what they're thinking and make the appropriate adjustment. I think a safe guess for final numbers for Superman, in my opinion, is 400 to 500 million minimum. I am very willing to say put the floor at 500. I think it's going to get. If it doesn't even hit 500, oh my god! I think it's going to get to 500. I think Warner Brother. I think it's going to hit the. It's going to hit Warner Brothers mark. I'll put it there. I think it's going to hit Warner Brothers. Although I will say this. While the odds are also fairly small of this happening, I still think the odds are better that this movie only does 450 than that it does $1 billion. based on the numbers we currently have. The odds, not by a large amount. Let me be clear. It's not by a large amount. I think both are pretty unlikely. But if you're comparing just the chances of those two things, either 450 or 1 billion, there is a greater chance of this movie only doing 450 million than there is of it doing 1 billion. By about that much, because they're both really, really unlikely. But, gun to my head, and you're someone's like, is it going to do 450 or will it be 1 billion? I'll be like, yeah, I'll take 450. 500 mils a layup for Superman? I wouldn't go that far. It's a free throw, though. I'll give it free throw. I ain't giving it layup. Because if it has like a 65% drop off next weekend, and then the weekend after that, Fantastic Four comes out, getting that 500 mil will actually get really difficult at that point. Because, let's see, what do you say, 217? So let's say 220 just for the ease of head math. 65% drop off from 220 would be. That'd be 132. Another 50. Actually, let me do this. 220. 110. Another 10%. So that would be roughly. Oh, that'd be awful. Yeah, that'd be like only another 80 million. From 220, a 65% drop would be only 80 million. So you're only looking at 300 million going into week 3 when Fantastic Four comes out. So 500 is not a layup. More of a free throw. It'll only be Shaq shooting the free throw if the drop off is 60% or more. Then Shaq is shooting that free throw. Like I said, weekend 2 is always what really tells the story. And besides, comic book movies are also traditionally front loaded. Like, this is the weekend where they make the bulk. I mean, obviously that's true of all movies, but comic book movies are really front loaded. Well, that's an interesting question. Okay. Wow. The average is 40%, according to Google. All right. Now, 40% drop off of 220 would only be. So, 220 minus. Trump basically 90. So that'd be 110. So that'd put it at 330. So that'd be better. 65% drop off. It doesn't even hit 3. Yeah, this is barring a statistical perfect storm, the like of which would be rarely seen. Superman definitely not into that. Oh well. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at for you know. If you're into this, if you're into numbers nerdiness, that's where we're standing at money wise for Superman. But of course, we already know that box office is not necessarily an indicator of quality. See Thunderbolts, which is a really, really, really good movie and didn't even make 400 million at the box office. Yep. That's what I got, chat. We talked about the movie. We talked about the money. You guys got anything else? Because if not, it's Sunday night and I need to finish the laundry and go to bed. But if you guys have points you wish to discuss, please throw it into the chat. We will talk about it. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a little bit to do that while I go pee-pee. Okay. A day late and shit? Yeah, but better late than never, motherfucker. Also, what up, Lou? Also, what up, Lou? Yeah. So what'd you think, Lou? Did you like it? I can't remember if you... Have you seen Superman? Did you like it? Not like it? What'd you think? Oh, thanks, Brooke. Like I said, if y'all got something... So, by the way, while we're in this little bit of a lull, let's talk about hitting the button. Let's make sure we all hit that like. Let's make sure if you haven't done so, you hit that subscribe and the bell. Pretty cool. Because have you seen? It's fun here. And most importantly, you're getting just my authentic thoughts at all times. I like it, I'll praise it. If I don't, I'll shit on it. It's just how it rolls around in here, you know? How we do. There have been a string of low to mid superhero movies lately, 100%. Superman in F4 may suffer from that a little. It is what it is. That's definitely a bit of a fact. I don't see any way that's not at least somewhat of in this, and probably will be with F4. I think Brooke Lanterns is technically next. Especially if Supergirl ain't coming out till the end of June. I think we get Lanterns like this spring. Alright, let me check on that. But yeah, no, for sure, that's going to be somewhat of a factor. Now, the real question is how much will that be? Oh, there's still no official release date? It's still only early half of 2026. Well, that's still Supergirl's June 26th. That's still before that. So we'll get Lantern. Because it's back to HBO Max. Yeah. You know, Superman and F4 are going to suffer from more than... Oh, thanks, Brooke. Yes, join the Discord. What Superman and F4 are going to suffer from more than the stank of mid-movies is, and I've been belaboring this point, but it keeps coming up, and it's still true. They're going to suffer more from... Damn it, I had the word, now I lost it. Fuck. Damn it. I hate that shit. I hate it so much. Oh, Lobo's definitely in. The biggest factor is how close they are together. Basically. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. They're just too close together to do anywhere near as well as they would be like even a month. Like Jurassic World probably would have been $1 billion movie if it came out in, say, May. Even, still comes out first, but in May. Superman came out like 2 weeks earlier. I still don't think Superman would be $1 billion movie under any circumstances. Well, under most circumstances. But not being 2 weeks behind F4 or 2 weeks ahead of F4 and 1 week behind Jurassic World, you're probably looking at like $800-900 million movie instead of like 5 to 7. Probably closer to 5 or 6. And I'd be willing to bet if Fantastic Four had at least a month of separation, it would probably make 150 to 200 million more than what it's gonna. It has the best chance to have legs based on competition, but it's gonna need more than a lack of competition to have legs. It's gonna need people hyped about it, and it's gonna need people willing to spend their money on it. They're probably already spending their money on Superman and or. There's that. The biggest problem for all three of these movies is they're all coming out in the same month. That's the biggest thing that's going to affect all of their box office. Contiguity the right word? I feel like that might have been the word I was going to use. state of ordering or being. So yeah. Yep. Contiguity. Contiguity of these movies is the biggest problem for all their movies. Boom. As Josh would say, that's the tape. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get on out of this motherfucker. Hope y'all had fun talking about the Supermans. I did. And again, I really, really like that movie. Wasn't perfect. Still made me eye roll. In a few spots. But by and large, I really like it. I think Jurassic Park also shows some of the most. Oh, definitely. Definitely. But that comes right back to the contiguity of it all. Push Jurassic Park back a month. Push F4 ahead like 2 weeks. They all do better. Keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in the back of your mind. Contiguity. It was good. Gonna take your oldest to see it. Nice. Nice. All right. Much love, y'all. Thanks for being here. I hope you had a good time. I had a good time. And be back at this shit on Wednesday at 9. 9 o'clock. It's still a week. So 9 o'clock Wednesday. We'll get final numbers tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more on Wednesday. Hopefully. There's a new clip that from for Fantastic Four. We'll definitely go over that on Wednesday. If you haven't seen it, it's mostly about Johnny Storm. Watch it and take comfort in it. That's all I'll say about it. Let's just say it reinforced something that I've been saying. Anyway, and of course, right. So, yep, that and whatever else pops up in the next couple days. So come on back Wednesday night at 9. Hope you had a good time tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, but most of us, that's a matter of 3 to 5 hours. So much love, y'all. Be safe, and hopefully see you back here on Wednesday. Later. Shit, I had my music up this whole time. God damn it. Yeah. You know what, C-Dub? That's a good point. Although rushing that out may have cost it some. Because a lot of people were talking about the characters in the story being a big flaw. So they might have been better off pushing it till August and doing a more thorough job. But yeah, it was a baller move for 100% sure. Total baller move. It just may have cost them a little bit. When I say a little bit, I mean probably $200 million. $200 to $300 million. But yeah, it's still a baller move though. I don't know why. I like talking about trying to predict it. I really like being right. Like, I'm that guy. I'll admit it. I mean, I'm a nice guy, but I love being right. Yeah, I fucking hate being wrong, for the most part. Although, perfect example of I'm glad being wrong. This fucking movie. Very glad to be wrong about this fucking movie. So, have a good night, y'all. Much love. Thanks for being here. Y'all are the dopest. For granting me your time. Time is precious. And you share yours with me. It's fucking amazing. So thank you. So, as we go about our week till we reconvene on Wednesday, remember this. Whoever you're with, wherever you're at, always keep it dirty. Much love, y'all. Later.